You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Nathan, you have a big trip coming up just around the corner, and I hear you're going to Spain, France, Germany, touring Europe this summer.
Yes, I am. And instead of settling for old, worn-out luggage, I'm upgrading to something that feels so first class.
And let me guess, you're shopping at Quince, aren't you?
You know it. Quince has these amazing lightweight European linen styles starting at just $30 for when I'm sipping bubbly in Paris.
I am all about their premium luggage options. Quince has stylish, durable bags and totes that carry everything I need. And the best part, all their items are 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Like, how is that even possible?
They partner directly with top factories to cut out the middleman, and they pass the savings straight to us. Plus, Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices.
So for your next trip, you can not only feel good about your purchase, but you can look like $1 million without spending, how do you say, beaucoup?
Oh, look at that French. So treat yourself to the upgrade you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/queenspod for 365 days returns plus free shipping on your order.
That's quince.com/queenspod to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/queenspod.
Merci, mon ami.
Oui, oui. Hi, everybody. This is Katy from Queen's Podcast. And today we are running something special from over on Patreon. For Easter 2023, I told the story of the myth, the legend, the one and only Lilith. And I thought, hey, happy Easter. Let's run it over here a couple of years later. So I hope you enjoy this story. And also, hey, if you're new here, we're Queen's Podcast and we curse a lot. We say the F word. So if that's not your thing, get the fuck out of here. All right. Happy Easter. Cheers, bitches. Well, hello, my beautiful queens, and welcome back to another weekend here in my corner. Let's hang out. Let's chat. I have been on a bit of a myth kick lately. Over on Instagram, we did a giveaway for the book Women of Myth from our friends from Ancient History Fangirls. So naturally, my nerdy little heart has been down a deep, dark rabbit hole or two. But the one that has struck me the most is the story of Lilith, who is in Jen and Jenny's book, and they attribute Lilith to Hebrew folklore. But she actually goes back a little bit deeper and even further back in history. So I just wanted to share with you everything that I found out. So if you've only ever learned about Lilith in passing, you probably know this story. This is what I knew before getting started. That she was Adam's first wife, but things didn't work out, so he ended up with Eve. Never really gave it another thought, right? Since it's not actually in the Bible or anything. I mean, it's not in the story of Genesis that I remember from Sunday school on the rare occasion that I found myself in Sunday school. You know what? Please hold. Let me look up. Is Lilith in the Bible? Well, that is not a straightforward answer and actually leads me to just have more questions about the Bible. But the first thing and most direct thing that pops up in that Google search is, quote, according to Jewish lore, Lilith was the first wife of Adam. Although not mentioned directly in the Bible, Lilith has been used to explain the two contradictory versions of the creation within the book of Genesis. Which my initial reaction is, wait, there are two creation stories in the Bible? But I guess a lot of stuff in the Bible contradicts itself anyway. You know what? I'm not going to go down that biblical rabbit hole today. Let's stick to Lilith. So the most popular story of Lilith, the one that you have probably heard or heard some kind of variation of, comes from around 700 AD, but possibly as late as 1000 AD. It's actually from a satirical Hebrew text that was pretty controversial for its time. The story of Lilith, or again, some kind of variation of her, existed long before that, though, and we'll get to it. This book, the one that, first wrote down her story and really mentioned it, is called The Alphabet of Ben Sira. And we have no idea who wrote it, but it appears to be a critique of religion of the time. So I don't know how people ended up taking that story seriously, if it's meant to be satire. And I think it was pretty well known to be satire, but oh well, here we are. So in the creation story that I was taught when I was a kid, it was God made Adam out of clay or dirt or whatever. And then he was like, oh, little buddy looks kind of lonely. Let's make him a little friend. And so then he took one of Adam's ribs and made Eve out of it. Side note, when I was a little kid, too little to stay by myself at home after school, so pre-latchkey kid days, my parents had me in this daycare that would come pick the kids up from elementary school, and it was grades, kindergarten through third grade, and then take them back to the daycare, and we would do story time, and they would usually tell us stories from the Bible. It was a very Christian school. I think it was just the only daycare in town, really. So they told us the story of creation, and my little sponge brain, I was 6, and they told us that since women were created from men's ribs, men have one less ribs than women do. And I thought that was true up until my freshman year of high school. Anyone else have some grown-ass adult tell you as a child that men had less ribs than women and you just didn't question it because why would they lie? But no. Anyway, unless you were born with, some abnormal bone structure, we all got 24 ribs, regardless of genitalia. Anyway, so that's the creation story that is most widely known, but the way Lilith fits into the equation is this. Originally, God made man and woman at the same time and in the same way. And they were both made out of dirt or clay or whatever, same time, cool. Then when it came time to go to Bone Town, Adam was like, well, I want to be on top. And Lilith was like, well, I don't like that. I don't like those aren't my vibes. That doesn't feel equal to me. It kind of feels like you're trying to dominate me, and I'm just not into that. And she was like, why don't we do it standing up? So we're both equals. And Adam was like, hard pass. It's missionary or nothing for me, I guess. And Lilith is like, that's fine. Then it's nothing. So Adam's a little snitch, and he goes and tells God and is like, God, we have a problem. So God goes to Lilith and is like, you need to be submissive to Adam. And honestly, it sounds like this was the first time Lilith was hearing about this arrangement. And she's like, oh, whoa, what? This is news to me. Not really something I'm interested in. Hard pass. So God was like, submit or you're going to be banished from paradise. And she's like, all right, I'm out of here. Peace. And then she flies away. Not in every telling, but in a lot of the tellings. She's like, all right, well then I'm banished. I'm out of here, and flies away. Which I feel like maybe I'm missing something in the story about the human anatomy in the original creation story. Less ribs, more wings. I don't know. Anyway, she flies off and she finds a cave by the Red Sea to live in. And she starts hooking up with the demons that live there and having lots and lots of demon babies. My guess is these demons were a little less vanilla in the bedroom than Adam. They were like, yeah, whatever you want. You don't gotta be on bottom for the demon sex. And so it just suited her much better. But God isn't really ready to give up. And he sends 3 of his angels to be like, hey, come back to paradise. Like, why do you want to live here and fuck demons? You've got options, girl. And the angels' names are Sanoi, Sanzanoi, and Samengoloth. Nailed it. And they're like, hey, if you don't come back and submit to Adam, we're going to start killing all of your demon babies. They said each day they would kill 100 of her demon babies. So this leads me to other questions. Like, do demons have babies in litters? What is the pregnancy period for demons? It sounds like the turnover rate is much, much quicker when popping out demons. It just sounds like you can do them quicker, faster, for her to have 100, like so many demon babies that they're going to kill 100 a day. And that's like not just it of the demon babies. I'm going to move on from the demon babies. I'm losing the plot. So anyway, Lilith was like, oh yeah? Well, if y'all kill my demon babies, I'm going to kill all the human babies that I guess will eventually be born. Look, nothing in this story makes a whole lot of sense, but she was very specific in the following. She says, when it comes to human babies, when a baby boy is born until its 8th day of life, I basically get to decide if it lives or dies. And then the same thing with baby girls, except to their 21st day of life for them. Weird and specific, but all right, Lilith. But then the angels were able to find some kind of like loophole in the agreement that if the parents put the names of these 3 angels, which I'm not going to try to say again, you're welcome, put them on an amulet and hung them over the baby's crib, Lilith would leave those babies alone. So yeah, that is the story of Lilith in the most traditional sense. The one, like I was saying, most of you, if you're familiar with the lore of Lilith, are familiar with. And in case you don't know the rest of the story of Genesis, if you weren't made to go to a Christian daycare where they lied to you about your ribs, the rest of it goes, God then made Eve out of Adam, took one of his ribs, bada bing, bada boom, we got a lady, her name is Eve, told them, hey, that's the tree of knowledge, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. Fun fact, it never actually says that the fruit on the tree of knowledge is an apple, but we as a society have just decided it's an apple in most depictions. Anyway, so then a snake convinces Eve to eat the fruit. So Eve convinces Adam to eat the fruit. And now you got sin. They're sinners. And so Eve and the fruit and the snake are the reasons we are the way we are and why we have seasonal depression and endometriosis and whatnot, or something like that. Okay. So yeah, like I said, that's the story that most people know. And if you didn't, now you do. But Lilith, or similar stories of Lilith, predates this story so much. And some of the similarities are pretty wild. So let's check it out. Let's get in our way back machine and go to roughly 2000 BC, but possibly even later. There's an ancient Babylonian society, and they spoke this dead language, Akkadian. In the 1930s, a series of ancient tablets were found in Akkadian, and they have been titled the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an ancient epic poem, so think the Iliad, but, not. We learn from this story some interesting things about the history of ancient folklore, and that long ago, way before Judaism and the Bible and Genesis, that the ancient Mesopotamians believed there was a female demon called Lilu or Lilitu, which, sounds like Lilith. So I'm just gonna say these demons were Liliths. And in this folklore, Lilith isn't one person. She's like a species of demons or whatever. And the Liliths in their stories preyed on pregnant women and infants. Kind of like our Lilith is said to prey on newborn babies. There's also a winged goddess named Lamashtu who causes miscarriages, and she has wings. So, which is giving me, Lilith just randomly flying away in the other story. That might explain why she could fly, just the lores mixing together. So it seems going as far back to the first documented society, people need something to blame for infants dying young, for women in pain in childbirth, women dying in childbirth, for the high rate of miscarriages that the harsh lives of ancient people caused. And so the lore created these female demons who drew strength from causing these misfortunes. And time again, we're seeing it as the entity that causes it. The name starts with L, and it's a female. almost definitely the origins of the Lilith story that we know today. Here's another story from that same epic poem. The story is called Inanna and the Hulupu Tree. The story starts with the creation of everything. Before much else was going on, and probably before people were around, the god of knowledge planted a Hulupu tree. I've also seen this saying like it's a weeping willow tree. But then there are some people believe that the Hulupu tree is like this mythical type of tree and didn't actually exist, but like its roots from the bottom were connected to the underworld and its branches to the top were connected to the heavens. So it's pretty special. And the tree was planted by the god of wisdom. So could we call this the tree of knowledge? Along comes the goddess Inanna, who, for the sake of brevity and to try to keep this a little bit concise, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but she is pretty interesting on her own. And Inanna was like, this tree is going to be the perfect thing to build my throne out of. So she like plucks it up. I'm not sure how she does that, but she brings it back to her holy garden. So we now have the tree of knowledge and a secret special garden. Got it. Doesn't sound familiar at all. Inanna tends to the tree every day and is like manifesting that it'll like just grow her a throne out of like that it'll just happen. Unclear, but that's where we're going with the story. But what is clear is she is just pouring her heart and soul into caring for this tree, to nurturing this tree. And it's a big fucking deal to her. One day she comes out there and there are 3 motherfuckers living in her tree. One is this bird that is like half eagle and half lion, which sounds pretty sick to me. And this bird has a whole bunch of offspring just taking up all the branches on her beautiful tree. So her tree is just now crawling with little demon monster birds. Then there's this evil snake that is living on the like one of the branches or something. There's a snake somewhere and it's evil. Some stories say that that's a dragon, but like I wonder if they meant snake. I wonder if that's like the same thing and just like a different translation. I don't know. But he's a bad guy. And lastly, the last demon or dark maid is named Lilith. And she had built herself a home in the trunk of the tree. So we got a snake and a tree of knowledge and a garden, and Lilith is there, and there's another demon with wings. Interesting. The rest of the story is just Inanna begging this trio of trouble to leave her tree and then being like, not gonna do it, honey. Absolutely not. And then her begging people to help her and then being like, not my problem. Until Gilgamesh, the one that the epic poem is about, like our main hero, he finally succeeds in running everybody away and being like, you got your tree back. So the lion bird, interestingly enough, flies away to a cave, giving me Lilith flying to the cave in the first story. But yeah, am I crazy? Or are these two stories got a lot of similarities? The biblical version and this, you know, the tree of knowledge and the snake and the garden, the special garden. I don't know. Now, Nathan and I talked about this in our Gaelic Goddesses episode, but storytellers do tend to borrow from each other's lore. So even without Lilith in the traditional story of creation from the Hebrew Bible, I feel like elements from this story were taken as well. So I found that super interesting. And the story of Lilith and all the other Lady L demons were probably stories they told each other too, like oral traditions that transcend actual teachings and religions. Hey Queens, it is Katy from Queen's Podcast, and if you are a longtime listener to this show, you know I have Wanderlust, and I bet a lot of you do too. I have a trip coming up in just a month or so to London, and guess what? I am treating myself to first class. No, not a first class flight. The podcast isn't doing that well yet. I mean a first class quality suitcase from Quince. Without breaking the bank, of course. Quince offers high quality travel essentials at prices that make you feel like you've already started your vacation. I'm talking about lightweight European linen styles starting at just $30. washable silk tops, and of course, lounge sets because, I mean, why not look good when I'm lounging around in the hotel? Am I right? But it's not just about clothes. Quince also has premium luggage options, stylish totes, carry-on bags. Treat yourself, honey. These are all going to look awesome without breaking the bank. So how do they do it? How do they keep me in style without maxing out my credit cards? Quince partners directly with top factories. They cut the cost of the middleman and they pass the savings on to us. And here's what I love the most. They only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. For my upcoming trip, like I said, I am upgrading to Quince's stylish, durable suitcase. It's spacious, it's lightweight, and it's perfect for all of my travel needs. So for your next trip, why not treat yourself to a luxe upgrade you deserve from Quince? Head over to quince.com/queenspod for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/queenspod. Happy travels. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Just that time of the month.
Excuse me, what?
Time to pay my phone bill. And let me tell you, these charges are painful.
Okay, well, why don't you switch to Mint Mobile?
Mint what now?
Mint Mobile has premium wireless plans that start at just $15 a month.
Oh, $15 a month? That's a steal.
Yup. Say bye-bye to those pain in the you-know-what monthly bills and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. All their plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and you get to use your own phone with your own phone number, bring all your contacts, just like before.
No more surprises in that time of the month. I love it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/queens. That's mintmobile.com/queens.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 gigabit plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plans options available after that.
See Mint Mobile for details.
Okay, that was a fun story, but it's not the only story we have. The rest of the mentions of Lilith or L-word demons are just kind of mentionings in passing and not linear stories, but I still think they're worth mentioning. For instance, in the Talmud, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Talmud, a Jewish religious text from circa 300 AD, Lilith is mentioned as the mother of demons. So even though this was centuries before that Alphabet of Ben Sira story, it tracks with the whole hundreds and thousands of demon babies she must have had. Also in that same book, we get a physical description of her. She's got long black hair and wings, and she preys on people who sleep alone, which, remember the Lilu from the Mesopotamian lore? She would sometimes be known to prey on single men. So men who sleep alone. There's also a medieval Jewish text called the Zohar that paints Lilith as a jealous, scorned woman. Apparently Lilith was there first, but then Eve appears. I guess God was like, Adam needs options, and Adam likes Eve better. So this broke Lilith's heart, and she flies off. Again, not sure where the wings came from, but here they are. Now that she's like flown off all heartbroken, she preys on the spilled seed of men. Ew. So, Lilith is going to come get it and have demon babies with your masturbation. Ew. Or she can even make you have a wet dream and take that and make demon babies. Girl, gross. Okay. Now, remember the story of the 3 angels that told Lilith, you can't kill a baby if that baby has an amulet with our names on it or something? Archaeologists have found loads of bowls that they tie to that story because it has those similar types names, those 3 angel names that kind of start with S's. So they found loads of these bowls that people would have buried under doorways of their households. Many people way smarter than me have come to the conclusion that, oh, this was to ward off Lilith if someone was pregnant in the house. This was probably when, making a bowl or something made out of wood was a lot easier for people to make than it would have been to get a metal amulet and make a trinket or something. But they've also found similar bowls in ancient Rome in areas that would probably have been well before the Romans were practicing any kind of Abrahamic religion. So again, cultures borrowing from each other for their lore in really, really interesting ways. Another story that kind of ties in with the lore, in ancient Greek mythology, there's a woman named Lamia who was a child-eating monster with a really high sex drive. And in some of those traditions, Lamia is also half snake. So there we are again with the killing babies and the snakes. Sounds familiar. And I've seen some people say that snakes get Adam and Eve to eat the apple, and that snake was charmed by Lilith or possessed by Lilith, which, when would she have time? Do you know how many demon babies she is taking care of? When is she going to have time to possess a snake? She's also mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls, although very briefly. If you're not familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls, they are the scrolls, found in a cave in the 1940s, and they are largely considered to be one of the most significant findings of the 20th century. So take that, King Tut's tomb. But the scrolls are more or less meant, though, to be like the first draft of the Bible. Because, the Bible as we know it today, it's been very political, what stayed in and what's been tweaked and what's been taken out altogether. So it's got plenty of passages and stuff that aren't in the mainstream Bible. And one is them they're just listing off demons that exist, and Lilith is mentioned in there. So it's totally possible that there was supposed to be more on Lilith originally, but it didn't make the cut. The only actual mention of Lilith in the Bible that you can find at any motel in the Midwest is this, Isaiah 34:14. Though it has been contested, that maybe the translation is off, because some people say that they mention Lilith and some people say that they mention a screech owl, which makes me think of that half eagle, half lion demon from the story we've already gone over, and Lilith being associated with having wings a lot as well. And in this passage in Isaiah, it's just kind of Isaiah is just naming off scary shit, unless I am totally misunderstanding this verse, which is absolutely possible. But yeah, it's like hyenas and screech owls or the Lilith and just naming off creepy stuff. But what that leads me to believe is that in the contemporary time of that being written, which is Old Testament, so way before Jesus hit the scene, so at least 3,000 years ago. But it leads me to believe that for the contemporary audience of the time, they would have just known Lilith off the top of their heads. Like we know the boogeyman or Santa Claus or something, and it would have sent shivers down their spines. They didn't need to explain to you what Lilith was or what she was there to do. Modern folklorist, is that a job? Is that a word? Folklorist? Modern people who know more about this kind of thing attribute the Lilith to being the inspiration for so many things that go bump in the night. Most famously, vampires, or any kind of succubus type thing. Some people attribute it to sirens. I mean, if she was half snake, that's not far off from being half fish, so just she really might be the basis of so many spooky, scary things that are still part of our, Halloween type culture. So that is just about everything I could find on Lilith. I have to say, it was a super fascinating rabbit hole. I sat down to write this thinking I'm just going to read about Lilith for an hour and then put down what I find. And 3 hours later, I was like, oh shit, I am deep down in this rabbit hole. So thanks for going down with me. I'm going to go ahead and link a bunch of sources in the show notes. So if you are so inclined to do your own digging, I hope you do, because it was super fascinating. I found every single bit of this super fascinating. I hope it not being just a completely linear story doesn't deter you from enjoying it as well. And yeah, happy Easter and cheers, bitches.
Hey everyone, it's Dan Souza from America's Test Kitchen. I'm super excited to let you all know that we're launching a new video podcast that takes you behind the scenes into the messy, imperfect, but riveting day-to-day life right here in our test kitchen. Not only do I get to talk to my colleagues about the latest taste test they attended.
I just came from a tasting of salted caramel apple pie bars and then roasted garlic, so I apologize.
Or about a recipe they're developing.
The thing about this recipe is it's a secret. The restaurateur refuses to tell people what her secret ingredients are.
We also chat with amazing guests from the culinary world and beyond.
The lamest joke I've ever said. And I said to Marie Bamford.
Great.
It's
Definitely
great
said
joke.
Thanks, Anna.
Make sure to subscribe to In the Test Kitchen so you don't miss an episode. You can watch In the Test Kitchen on YouTube and Spotify and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Can't wait to see you in the Test Kitchen.